This is Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW.
You could be killed. I mean, it's anywhere from a broken leg or all the way up to, death.
Knowing how to ride snowmobiles saves lives. In recent years, there have been dozens of reported injuries and a number of fatal crashes involving snowmobiles. As local safety experts tell Valley News Team's Veronica Marshall, there's been a sharp decrease in the number of people signing up to get certified and get professionally trained.
Local enthusiasts say riding snowmobiles is a Minnesota tradition.
It's a blast, just getting on a nice smooth trail and just going and having fun. With fresh air will do everybody some good.
But that piece of local culture is in trouble.
We had 14 kids in our last class, and in the years past, we've had up to 120.
With fewer kids enrolling in safety classes, experts hope they just aren't riding, instead of riding without knowing the rules, which can lead to deadly accidents.
You got no protection. It's not like a car where you're inside of a tin can. If you're going across the lake at 50 miles an hour and you hit an ice ridge, the sled's going to go one way, you're going to go the other way, and it's not going to be nice. They're going to be coming with a helicopter to pick you up, most likely.
And it's even easier to become an accident statistic thanks to faster sleds.
The snowmobiles nowadays that are built will do over 100 miles an hour. And the speed limit anywhere in the state of Minnesota is only 50. And at night, that reduces down to 40 to 45.
Now, experts share tips on how to stay safe. They say riders should know the area well or stay on groomed trails. Riders also need to dress for the weather, which includes wearing the right safety gear.
I would recommend a helmet anytime. The only time I do not wear my helmet when I start my snowmobile is to put it on the trailer.
Another tip is to never ride alone. And most importantly,
slow down. That's the main one. Slow down so that you can see what's in front of you. If you can't see it quick enough, you're not going to stop quick enough. You're going to make contact.
In Moorhead, Veronica Marshall, Valley News Live.
We also have a link to where you can sign up for online snowmobile safety classes on our website. For that, go to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Coming up after weather, a North Dakota family rang into the new year in one of the most iconic parades to celebrate the holiday. Plus, how to make sure you're not scammed the next time you order an Uber. But first, Hutch, we started off the year in our continued cold spell. Is there any relief for the future, or what's the deal? What's going on?
It's moderate relief at best. As we take a look up north, is not where we find the coldest temperatures tonight. It's down south. The hot spot, the Cavalier Tornadoes at 2 below zero, 10 below Devil's Lake. Look at Gwinner, 15 below there. Aberdeen in the 20s below this hour. 13 below for Wahpeton, for Detroit Lakes, and Wadena at that same reading this hour. Now, the wind is expected to be increasing tonight, and that's already driving those wind chills from Aberdeen, where it's almost 40 below on exposed skin. 37 below is what it feels like this hour outdoors in Gwinner. Another dangerous night of wind chills. Remember the survival kits. Remember your carbon monoxide detectors in your home. Hey, this morning was no picnic. Take a look at southwestern North Dakota. This is Hettinger, and down there in southwest North Dakota, the actual air temperature dove to 45 below. The coldest reading in the United States today in North Dakota. And here is a look at that cold air diving all the way south into Texas, where it's below freezing in San Antonio. It is freezing in New Orleans this hour and below freezing in Georgia, though they're warmed up thanks to the win of their football team, maybe. All right, take a look at this across the country. Cold air diving down south, not quite reaching Miami yet. Quiet elsewhere with the exception of lake effect snow that continues streaming off of the Great Lakes. And we have hard freeze warnings for the Gulf Coast states and a lot of wind advisories throughout much of the central plains of the nation, including right here, a wind chill advisory in effect until tomorrow morning. So still one more night with brutal wind chills out there. Under mostly clear skies, a few clouds starting to show up to our north. Hour by hour forecast, head to bed. Steady temperatures this evening across parts of the Southern Valley, and by morning we'll see increasing clouds to our north. Winds gusty, over 20 miles per hour. So even though temperatures will be milder than they've been, around 10 to 15 below, wind chills still in the 30s below zero for many. This band of snow will move from northwest to southeast as we go through midday. It'll move through Fargo, and in the afternoon, continue its trek southward. Will warm up after it does to highs near 10 degrees for many across the valley, maybe a little warmer than that out west, and a pinch cooler out to the east. 10 below to start your day back at school, kids. You head out to the bus stop in the morning, bundle up. 30 below, warming up to around 15 with northwest winds late in the day, 15 to 25 miles per hour. Single-digit temperatures north and east in the low to mid-teens elsewhere. This is an ice spike on the river near Chaffee. Thanks, Rick Jackson, for sending that. Air bubbles in the river there, burping their way up through the ice, causing that ice spike to form. And here is what it looked like in Warroad. David sent in a great picture of that beautiful full moon over the big waters. Here's a look at your temperatures on Wednesday, back in the deep freeze. Pretty chilly day all day below zero. The coldest, though, Thursday morning, 18 below. Then a warming trend into the weekend. We'll hit the low 20s on Sunday with some snow making its way through. If you're planning on heading down to Frisco, prepare for a freezing morning and temperatures rising to around 50 during the game.
You know, it's so interesting when you show that national map. My family in Kansas City, they're dealing with zero temperature, like 0 degrees.
Right.
And I just laugh. Like, it just makes me so, like, they're like, oh, it's so miserable. It's so bad.
60 degrees colder here, right?
You know what? Yeah. We've got tough skin up here, don't we?
We got to.
We have to.
Yes.
Thanks, Hutch. Well, tonight we're learning a man from Sisseton, South Dakota, who was injured in a 3-car crash last month, has now died from his injuries. The Highway Patrol says 61-year-old Tony Gutierrez was a passenger in an SUV that hit a car on South Dakota Highway 10 near Aberdeen while trying to turn into a parking lot. That happened on the afternoon of December 11th. The SUV rolled and slid into another car that was leaving the parking lot. Gutierrez was taken to a Sioux Falls hospital. Authorities say he died of his injuries nearly 2 weeks later. No one else was seriously hurt in that crash. After the New Year's Eve parties, it seems as if some forgot to find themselves a sober ride home. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety says there were more than 100 drunk driving arrests Sunday night and into Monday. Specifically, the department says that between 6 p.m. Sunday and 8 a.m. Monday, there are 117 arrests statewide for DWI. Those in the Traffic Safety Department say regardless of whether it's a holiday or not, it is always recommended to have a plan for a sober ride if you plan to drink. The legal alcohol limit for driving in Minnesota is 0.08. A 15-year-old Fort Totten boy is facing a DUI charge after crashing into 2 police cars in a parked car. It happened this morning in Devils Lake around 5:30 a.m. No one was hurt. However, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office says the 15-year-old tried to back up a pickup onto the street and hit 2 parked Devils Lake police squad cars. He then tried to drive forward and the car spun out. The young man then tried to reverse, but hit another vehicle in the driveway, pushing it into a fence. The Sheriff's Office says all damages were minor. Uber and Lyft drivers were busy during last night, bringing people home after New Year's Eve celebrations. But one driver who works for both Uber and Lyft in the FM area, they want riders to be aware of scammers. It appears we don't have that sound, but the source says by enlarging the map on your Uber or Lyft app, you're then able to see whether a car is either leaving your location or coming back. And if you see spinning in motion, there's a good chance that that driver is sitting nearby. There's no intention of picking you up. Well, thousands of Minnesota families will take home bigger paychecks in the new year. That's because the state's minimum wage just went up to $9.65 an hour for large employers. Smaller companies must now pay $7.87 an hour. And over in Minneapolis, the minimum wage goes up to $10 an hour for many. But not everyone's happy about it. Tina Rexing's bakery is already operating on razor-thin margins. With a new minimum wage, it could impact how she does business. Rexing already pays her employees between $9 and $15 an hour and also offers them health insurance. Over the next few months, she'll take a closer look at her books and expenses. This change has been in the works since the city council voted to boost the minimum wage last summer. If the minimum wage increase in Minneapolis keeps climbing in the coming years, it will eventually get to $15 an hour by 2022. The Minnesota Vikings will be hosting their NFC divisional playoff game this year at the U.S. Bank Stadium. Corey Hippola has more on if the home field advantage once again will put this game in the history books.
2nd and 9.
Stefon Diggs knew exactly what to do.
Touchdown, Diggs!
Now tap your heels together 3 times and think to yourself, there's no place like home.
You know, I don't have no red shoes, but I got some purple ones, so, you know, Vikings edition.
And with that, capping off a 13-3 season, all of those purple shoes will be back at US Bank Stadium, where they're 7-1 this season. And historically, the Vikings are tough at home in the playoffs. 13-8 all time.
And the kick is no good.
Never mind their last home playoff game at TCF 2 years ago. A wild ending to Wild Card Weekend. This season, the Vikings are better, scoring a first-round bye and hosting a divisional round game for the first time since 2009.
Farr backpedaling as he lofts it for Rice. How good is that combo? That's their third of the day. Touchdown, Vikings.
Vikings cruise that day, 34-3 over the Cowboys. In fact, all time, the Vikings are 7-3 in divisional round home games and have won 4 straight since...
He's going long.
Drew Pearson pushed off.
Makes the catch at the 5, touchdown.
Spoiling the Vikings Super Bowl shot. Still, there's no place like home. Plus, what are the odds that'll happen again?
I've got a crystal ball, and I've got a, what is that? A wood spirit hanging in my office, so there's no damn curse.
A limited number of tickets for the Vikings playoff game actually went on sale Saturday. If you surf around, you can actually find some for resale. They start at around $150, go up to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for club seats. That game is Sunday, January 14th at 3:40.
And the US Bank Stadium will be hosting the 52nd Super Bowl, as you just heard, on February 4th. Now, you can remember to watch that game only on KVLY. And our coverage from Frisco, Texas starts Wednesday as the NDSU Bison get ready to try to reclaim the national FCS football title. But that's not all. On Saturday, we'll have a special 90-minute Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. We'll get it all underway at 9:30 in the morning and take you right up to kickoff between the Bison and the Dukes at 11 a.m. The FCS National Championship will be on ESPN2. With it being the first day of the new year, those in Southern California celebrated with the annual Rose Parade. Only this time around, one North Dakota family had the privilege of riding on a float in this morning's Tournament of Roses Parade in Pasadena, California. Shelley Golke and her family are from Mulhall, North Dakota. They donated the revenue from 5 acres of soybeans to the Lansford Fire Department. That yield came out to more than $2,300. They even earned a spot on the agricultural float and a 2018 pickup truck for a year.